Hello, this is the Answer Lady, cabling on my favorite looms, Kiss looms. I hope you'll enjoy cabling right along with me.
Welcome to Kissable Cables. Some of the movies in this series have specific reference to this bunny cable, which you can find on my website. So we will talk about knitting a bobble for a tail, making 4x4 crosses, which are rather challenging, making 2x2 crosses, and in here, where you can't see it very well, is a pair of 2x2 crosses done to define the top of the head. That has some special challenges, so we'll talk about that. And then these are crosses that are not crossing knit stitches with knit stitches. So they allow the ears to move on the background, and we'll talk about those. Even if you have no interest in a bunny cable, you may want to watch these because they will help you so much with the general cabling techniques that you might like to use in any project. Now, in order to create the bunny's ears spreading out from the top of his head, what we're going to do is some crossing that's not technically speaking cabling. This gets very tricky to talk about. It's easy to do. But as a general rule, cabling is the term used when you cross knit stitches over knit stitches, as here. And when you cross knit stitches that are part of the cable design over background stitches, as we're going to do for the ears, to move them around. So we'll be crossing knits with purls. Often that is called crossing, not cabling. There is no real distinction between what you do for one and the other, and also it is not always called that. It depends on your source. So here I have knitted 5 purl background stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 knit stitches, which are going to be the ears. So let's move the background stitch out of the way. It always crosses second. That's how come it stays in the background if you're doing a cross. There are some other terms that I've come across in hand knitting patterns, and this is one of the reasons that I would rather think about what is the stitch doing than translating from hand knitting, because I find it gets too confusing. There are so many terms because so many cultures have enjoyed hand knitting. Here are my 2 ear stitches. We will knit them. Second ear, we just crossed the first ear. This is a purl stitch, a background stitch, and we want the ears to spread out. So we'll take this purl stitch and move it aside temporarily. I believe I'm getting some tendency to tangle up around this peg, so I'll have to be careful. Move my 2 knit stitches that are the second ear outward, 1 peg each. Put the background stitch in the center. So for the next row, we're going to knit them as they fall. Knit, knit, purl, purl. 2 background stitches are now between the knits. Knit, knit, and the rest purls. The outer ones purls. So you see how that works? We can create the impression of the ears moving apart with crosses so that the background moves around with reference to the ears, or more accurately, the ears move around on the background. Although you won't always be knitting ears, anytime a cable appears to move around on the fabric, most likely this sort of cross is at work.